Hey guys, what's going on? Rick with Rick's Toy Room. Just like I said yesterday, I promised to come back and do a full review of the Virtual Boy for the Switch 2 accessory and games. And just like I thought, they activated the games first thing this morning. You did not need a software update, but you could download basically the app. You could download the games, and then you could play them on the Virtual Boy accessory. So let's talk about that for a second. First and foremost, again, if you haven't seen my last video, the only way to get the Virtual Boy software and games is to have the Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack subscription, and this gets you the Virtual Boy app emulator, and from there you can do, and I'm just going to close this app for a second, and let's close the app so we can get back to the main screen. Okay, so you have to have the subscription, and that is $35.99 for a year, or $34.99 for a year for a single player, and it's $50 for a year for the multiplayer. Or was it 50 for the year? Yeah, sorry, 50 for the year for a single player for the expansion plus, and 75 for a family account for up to 4 different users. That gets you the Virtual Boy, the Nintendo 64, the Game Boy Advance. All those games are now loaded and can be played on your Switch too. So again, yeah, this morning, I woke up this morning, I was like, all right, I got the 3D printers running, I need to get to the work, but I wanted to make sure, see if this is loaded, and sure enough. So you first, you go to the eShop, you say, you click on the Virtual Boy, tell it to download, and then it's going to validate that you have the, account, and that you have the plus. Once it validates your plus, it downloads the app, it shows up, and then on screen you get once you have the console into the dedicated accessory, look through the accessory, press A, and you'll see that on the Switch the games are all in color. However, once you get into the games are actually all red, just like the original games, just like the ROM carts, and then that shows through the red lenses. Now, when you're on the main screen, the color are on the red lenses, and then you can get in, and it has the little instructions that you can do L plus R to basically freeze the game. You can make a save point just like all emulation, and then you can play the game. Now, a couple of things at this point I want to go over. I thought yesterday they were going to require maybe a software update. They did not require an update. It was just go into the store. The store automatically had everything loaded. I did anticipate, and I was correct, that the IPD, the interpupillary distance, so the distance between the two black spots on your eye between each other, is completely controlled within the emulation, within the software. So from the main screen of the list of games, if you press on your right Switch control pad, if you press and hold on the right thumbstick, it will activate the IPD configuration, and you'll see on the screen a plus and minus, and basically you can adjust how far your left eye is from your right eye, if you want to separate the right from the left, from center, etc. And this is very important to do, because it's actually, if you have this wrong, your weakest eye is going to have some problems, essentially seeing and negotiating the 3D effect. It actually can give a lot of people headaches, make them nauseous. Me personally, I'm noticing a slight headache when I'm playing right now, so I need to get this thing adjusted. On other 3D headsets, you have a front focal and the left right, where this, you can't control the front focal, so it's only left right. And it could cause some issues for some people. Like I said, part of it, I'm getting a little bit of a headache playing right now, but there's a lot of things that are actually going with that, whether it's the weather right now, because I have had some sinus issues with the pressure. Could just be that I have the measurements off, whatever. But I was right. So the other, from that point, you can pick your games. And once you're inside the game, you can also press and hold the right thumbstick. And if you press the X button, you'll be able to zoom in and out of the actual display. So if you are having problems in game, again, with the 3D or getting headaches, you can zoom it out or bring it forward. That's kind of cool, and it also solves a problem with this unit. Okay, I'll talk about that in a second. I was wrong about the amount of games. There were 7 games, I think, total that were released. Wario Land, Virtual Boy, Tetris Virtual Boy, like a Doom clone, Pinball, and a couple other ones I haven't played with yet. Did the Pinball, I did the Doom clone, and I did Wario, which I never played the Wario, so it was kind of fun to like try to figure out what was going on. Each game does have a full set of instructions, so you can hit L and R or ZLZR. You press those together, it brings up the menu where you can look at the game's controls, you can understand how to play the game, you can do a screenshot, you can do the pause game, save state, load state, restart game, exit to main menu. All that's in that screen. So all in all, just like a standard emulator on the Switch for the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, etc., all of that is built into this functionality, which is at this point standard for an emulator. The games all play fairly smooth. I did not have any lag issues that I could tell. I mean, I never owned the original Virtual Boy, so I don't know how well these games are playing in comparison to real hardware. And with computers these days, you can almost emulate old school hardware very easily with software. And some just don't, but this plays really well. All in all, the positive side of the unit is it sounds pretty good. Like, you don't have external headphones with this. Like the original Virtual Boy had headphones. I believe with the way that this is designed, you actually cannot get the headphone jack for the Switch is at the top. Well, the top is covered by the Virtual Boy, so your headphone jack's blocked. So you can't put headphones in, so you're relying just on the speakers of the Switch to provide your audio, and that's a downfall. Let's talk about other downfalls. So I don't know if I've already covered this right now, but the assembly instructions actually were terrible. I had this installed backwards yesterday. So I had these rounded corners to the front of the Switch. And what I found out was when the locking mechanism is undone, you couldn't get the headset to move forward because it actually has a stopper that only allows it to go this far when you're on this back side of the stand. And why is that a problem? Well, if you're sitting at a desk and you're trying to look through the headset and you want to maybe lean forward, it didn't move all the way back. Also, this locking mechanism isn't really designed super well. Like this piece here that holds the mounting bracket for the bottom of for the Switch to go into, I mean, it literally disconnects every time you touch it. So I found that to be very flimsy, especially while I was in the middle of playing and I had the whole thing shift on me. So did not like that at all. Another big downfall and problem with this unit is it's really not designed for the Switch 2. I think this was originally designed for the Switch 1, and I say that because when you put the Switch 2 in, you can't see the whole screen inside this unit. When you load up the game menu, there is a bunch of items, like the top of the screen of the game list is cut off, and so is the bottom with the instructions of the ZLR, the A, B back, all that. There's a whole section of these screens that are cut off because of the way these lenses are zoomed in for magnification that you cannot see with the Switch 2 screen. Now, I have a Switch 1. The problem is I can't get it online, so I can't download the emulator to test it on this thing to see how it looks. But I would bet that if I put the Switch 1 in here, I'd actually be able to see more of the full screen. And again, that's very disappointing because, this labeled Switch 2, it's all the parts for Switch 2. It boasters, get the online, yada, 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 and you can't see the whole thing. So you kind of basically, you're sitting here looking in here and you're doing one of these, trying to see the whole screen on the game menu. And that's going to be a problem when more games come out because once that list of games gets filled in, you're going to be basically like looking around trying to see what game you want to play, titles, etc. And I find that to be very distracting for the experience. I find it very distracting for the immersion of being inside the virtual world, especially with the newest headsets. Again, I'm very used to PSVR 1 and 2. You put that headset on, it's got a tight interlocking headset. You've got stereo surround sound buds, and you are in a full 3D virtual world. And I get it. This thing came out 1992. So the tech really wasn't there. But at the same token, I'm spoiled now, and going to older tech is kind of like, it's more of this like nostalgia. I never had one of these, so I want one now type thing. Um, I think that's a very big downfall. Also, too, you cannot control the zoom level from the main menu. So when you launch the software, you can only control the zoom levels within the games. You cannot make the menu zoom in and out. So if you're having problems with the eye strain, or if the obviously, like I said, you can't see all the games, that is a problem. Like you get a headache trying to pick the game because you're so zoomed in, it's so close. You're trying to look up. It's just a terrible experience. Once you get into the game, like I said, you can zoom the screen in and out, and there are 4 little like red corners to show you if you're how far in or out you are. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a cool little gizmo. It's a fun little throwback to the yesteryear of '92 when the Virtual Boy came out. You know, the granddaddy of VR headsets for Nintendo, or for VR for home consoles, for that matter. Is it really worth the $100 plus the $50 a month for the subscription? To me, no. Had I been able to get a much better video review, or if they would have been able to get test units out there, I would have probably contemplated not buying this, or I would have bought it to put it on the shelf, not open it, not use it, just because the fact that there just wasn't enough information out there about how this unit functions. And now that I see a lot of the pitfalls and exactly how cheap they really made this, like I said, the stand, super heavy duty, the stand has weight. The actual shell has some weight. But if you really think about what this is, it's just a plastic cheap shell that requires your Nintendo to do 99.9% of all the work. I just don't, I kind of I would have probably spent more on the unit if it could have handled a little bit different functionality. If they would have actually put the lenses that could have moved and made these buttons function for the focus, had the ability to run the headphones out of the unit so that you could use it. It's not. If you were willing to crush the headphone cable, or maybe run it down behind. I'm trying to see if there's a way that you could get this thing out. So the door does open at the bottom. You could probably run a set of headphone cables into the top. Well, you really can't, because I think that hits the top of the switch. Let's put that in, goes down. Yeah, no, it's basically tight to the switch. So there's no way to run headphones to this. If they would have made the software where it flipped the image so you could have the headphone jack at the bottom and plug headphones in, I think that would have been a better experience immersion wise. The fact that it doesn't have that at all just sucks. I do think that actually, I don't think. I was going to say, I think that this has maybe an RFID to identify that the switch is installed, but thinking now when I've used it, it really doesn't. Yeah, so it's a cool display piece. It's a really cool. Yeah, you can uh, you can say that you have one. I mean, if you're like, hey, look, I got the Switch 2 Virtual Boy. Cool. Again, it's a cool little display. It would be a nice little conversation starter. Putting this up next to the original Virtual Boy would be kind of cool. Show the generational, but for the $100, I'm not. I think for what it does, it was kind of a ripoff. I think that if Nintendo would have charged maybe 50, I mean, if they'd have charged 50, this would have been a buy all day long. The cost of the wireless controllers for like the Nintendo 64 controller or the Sega Mega Drive controller, 50, this would have been a no-brainer buy just to put it on the shelf. At 75, it would have been kind of like, okay. At 100 was overkill. Again, for what it does, the $100 is just really not worth it, especially when you think if you're going to really use it, you need a $50 a month subscription. I mean, I could drop my subscription down to $20 a month right now, play the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the Game Boy, Sega, and be perfectly happy with my life. I don't need the Virtual Boy games, especially considering you got to be plugged in this headset. It doesn't have a lot of good focal like adjustments. If I'm going to sit all day, or if I'm going to put a couple hours into a VR headset, I'm going to go turn on the PlayStation. I'm hook up the VR2, and I'm going to go play like Aces of Thunder, or I'm going to go play any number of Horizon. Like, I'm going to play any number of games that give me a much more immersive effect for that kind of money. I mean, the PlayStation Online store, what is it, $20 right now? 28. I don't remember what I'm even paying for my PlayStation PSN subscription, but I can tell you this: it's worth. Well, it's about worth equal, because honestly, I don't play a lot of multiplayer games on the PlayStation. If I'm playing anything with co-op or whatever, I'm playing on the Xbox because that's on my big screen. But yeah, I don't really feel that it was worth the 100. I think that if this would have been marked down to $50, it would have been a just absolute no-brainer. I think they could have done way better in explaining the setup of this, and I think they could have done more with the hardware. So yeah, that's my full review. I mean, we spent about 16 minutes really talking about this. Setup, again, super simple. Just download the app, launch it, drop in the headset. There you go. There goes Roomba. Uh, Actual value, I don't see a lot of value in it. Again, cool display piece. The game Wario might be a fun game to play. I actually will get in and play a lot of Wario, and I'll probably play Tetris. I want to see if they release. I know that they've got another list of games that are coming out, and again, there's only 14 games for this unit. I would like to play the virtual tennis, especially now that Mario Tennis has come out for the Switch 2. Though there may be a reason why they did not launch Mario Tennis with this. They didn't want to compete with the actual Mario Tennis or get people confused. But I would like to get that and play that. I know that that was kind of one of the flagship games for this. And it would be interesting to see if Nintendo gets all the license and rights back for all 14 games, put the entire collection on here. Then it would be cool for at least a month to play through all of them and say, hey, I played them all. But otherwise, I think if I canceled the subscription for the Expansion Plus, went back to regular Nintendo Online, and then just took that money to buy the vintage unit and buy the games, I'd get the same use out of it. So, and then I would have a unit, games, all this that I could physically sell, because right now, if anything happens to Nintendo's Online, all I've got is a plastic shell to resell on this. So, all right, guys, hopefully this video gave you some feedback on whether or not you want to get on eBay and buy one. Hopefully this video has helped you overcome your FOMO if you did not get the chance to purchase one and were bummed. If you want it for a display piece, if you're a console collector or if you're a Nintendo collector and you just want this to be on your shelf as part of the rest of your cool display, I'm all for that. You guys know I love my displays. I would have mine up, all my cool stuff up right now if I wasn't moving, or at least trying to move. But for a, hey, I need to have this because it's just the newest cool console, don't worry about it. Somebody's going to liquidate it. I guarantee you in about 3 weeks, you're going to find a ton of these units used for 100 or less, probably way less than 100, because people are going to realize they don't do anything. So they're just red lenses in front of a magnifying glass. That's it. That's all it does. All right, guys. As always, like, subscribe, follow. Let me know what you think. If you got one, tell me what you're playing on it. If you did not get one, tell me what you'd like to try on it. Other than that, have a good one.